We are living through an absolute revolution. Artificial intelligence is creating wealth at a speed that is just mind-blowing. But this whole digital gold rush, it's powered by a raw material you might not expect. So let's dive right in. What is the fuel for this entire economic transformation?
Think about it like this. AI is this incredible, powerful new engine that's driving our economy forward. But, every engine needs fuel. So the big question is, who's supplying the fuel for this one? The answer might actually surprise you. Because, well, it's us.
And this brings us to the absolute core idea of this explainer: extraction. It's a business model that basically treats our collective human knowledge, everything we've ever written, every picture we've posted, all the code we've shared online, as a raw material, just like coal or oil, that can be mined for profit. Okay, so what does this new natural resource actually look like? And how in the world did it become so incredibly valuable? What's just staggering here is the sheer scale of it all. We're talking about the entire internet. It's our collective knowledge, right? A digital commons that all of us built together over decades. And this massive resource is being harvested, scraped, taken, without a dime of compensation, all to train the very AI models that are now worth trillions of dollars. And this quote from Marshall Van Alstyne just hits the nail on the head. For years, tech platforms have worked this way. They've relied on us, the users, to create the value. We write the posts, we upload the photos, we make the content. AI just takes that to a whole new level, extracting all that value on an industrial scale. So, if our collective knowledge is the raw material being mined, that begs a pretty important question, doesn't it? Who are the miners? And maybe more importantly, what kind of society are their methods creating? This is where the analogy gets really serious. The major tech giants have pretty much set themselves up as the new mining oligarchs. They own all the heavy machinery needed to extract and refine this raw material, our data, and they are turning it into just an immense amount of wealth and consolidated power. And if this whole thing continues unchecked, the sources we've looked at paint a pretty stark picture. The potential rise of the powerless, permanent underclass, a society where most people lose the main thing they have to bargain with, their labor. This leads to a concept with a pretty intense name: Technofeudalism. It's this possible future where wealth isn't tied to land, like in the old feudal system, but to owning the AI models. All the power gets concentrated in the hands of the tiny few who control the tech, and pretty much everyone else gets left out of the economic rewards. So this raises a critical question. What's the real price of this new kind of progress? Let's take a look at the actual concrete impact this model is having on the very foundations of our society. Our entire social system, things like healthcare, pensions, all our public services, it's basically built on one thing: taxes from human labor. But in this new reality, as AI and capital start replacing human jobs, that whole tax base just begins to crumble. Productivity goes through the roof, but wages and employment don't follow. It's a fundamental break in our economic model. This is what some economists are calling the fiscal leak. Just look at it. The money coming in from labor taxes is going down, right at the exact moment when the need for social spending, like unemployment benefits, is going way up. That gap right there, that's completely unsustainable. And listen, this isn't some distant sci-fi threat. Experts are warning that once structural unemployment hits this critical threshold of just 10 to 20%, our social systems could literally start to collapse under the strain. That makes finding a solution incredibly urgent. But okay, this isn't just a story about problems. There are some really concrete solutions being put on the table. So let's look at how we might be able to reclaim a share of this new digital commonwealth for everyone. The whole strategy really boils down to 3 key moves. First, shift the tax burden away from human labor and onto the capital that's replacing it. Second, we need to formally recognize our collective knowledge as a public resource. And third, we need to create new ways for everyone to own a piece of the AI economy. So how do we actually do that? Well, here are 2 fascinating ideas. The first is an automation-adjusted tax. It would target companies that make massive revenues with very few human employees. The second is a data severance tax, and this brings us right back to our mining analogy. It's simple. Just like oil companies pay to extract a natural resource, AI companies would have to pay a fee to extract our public data. But what if we went even further than just taxes? An even bolder idea is to create sovereign wealth funds for AI. In this scenario, the state wouldn't just tax the wealth, it would actually become a co-owner of the whole infrastructure, investing on behalf of every single citizen. And if you think this sounds like some kind of fantasy, it is absolutely not. We have a proven model for it. Just look at Norway. They took their oil wealth and built a sovereign wealth fund that's now worth about 340,000 euros for every single citizen. It's such a powerful example of how you can turn a national resource into shared, lasting prosperity for everyone.
All of this brings us right back to the most fundamental, the most important question of this entire technological revolution.
Because in the end, all these discussions about taxes and funds and regulations, they really all come down to one single thing: ownership. Who gets to own the most powerful tools ever created, and who gets to profit from them? Ultimately, the choice really is ours. As this new economy gets built all around us, are we going to let ourselves be treated as just the raw material to be extracted and used up? Or are we going to demand a new model, one where all of us are recognized as the co-owners of the future we are all building together?